All right, we're going to close out P2 here by talking about constructing a circle. So your students are going to be able to construct a circle giving two endpoints of its diameter and find the equation of the circle. So you might not have dealt with equations of a circle for a little while, so let's take a look and see if we can figure it out together. Let's use blue. All right. So midpoint, we just talked about. We finished that in the last video. Distance, we did 2 videos ago. Radius of a circle, we'll talk about. Diameter, and then also just the idea of a circle overall are the vocabulary points we're going to talk about to close out P2 here. So first of all, what I want you to do is pause the video for a second and talk to your neighbor about what you think a circle is. If I asked you to define a circle, what would you say a circle is? Give that a couple minutes. All right, so my guess is that each of you came up with something about it being round, about it being an infinite number of points. Some of you might have even gotten to talking about distance. The way that a circle is defined is if you have a center point, it is every point that is equidistant around the outside of the circle. That should have been a vocabulary word, equidistant. Equidistant means equal distance. So the center is not actually a part of the circle. So I'm going to erase it in a second. But every single point on the circle is the same distance away from the center. Each one of those is exactly the same distance, if I had drawn this better, right? So a circle is all of the points, is defined as the infinite set of points that are equidistant from a central point. So we have our center point here, and all of these are an equal distance away. And there is a name for that distance, and you guys know that distance is called the radius, r. Okay? So every point a distance r from the central point. Well, that sounds like something that could be derived using the distance formula, because what we're kind of aiming for here is we're looking for a way to come up with an equation of a circle. And of course, if you go all the way across the circle, that's called the diameter. Diameter, and just part way across here is called the radius. And that's how far you are from the center point to any point on the outside of the circle. So let's think about this. So let's say that the center, let's say we're actually on a graph here. Let's say the center is at HK. Every point on the circle has to be the same distance away. We called it R. So every one of these is a distance R. Well, every point on the circle here, the whole idea of what an equation is, like if you have the equation for a line or an equation for a circle or an equation for a parabola, whatever it is, every point on here, x comma y, no matter where it is, has to satisfy the same equation. Every single point on the outside here. Well, what we just said is the distance from hk to xy is always equal to r. So we can relate all these variables together. So we're going to use the distance formula to do that. So we know that r is equal to the square root, the difference between the x's, which we said the center is hk, and we're going out to any xy on the outside of the circle. So it's going to be x minus h, that's the difference of the x's, squared, plus y minus k. That'll also be squared. So this is the distance to any point. Now what I'm going to do to make this look a little prettier is square both sides. So I'm going to have r squared equals x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. And the reason we square both sides is because really to have the whole circle here you would have to have a plus or minus. Just the positive would only give you the top half of the circle because the circle is not a function, right? It doesn't pass the vertical line test, which we'll talk about later. But this is the equation that you're looking for a circle. So this is a circle with radius r and center h comma k. Okay. So let's try a simple example with that. If you write one thing down today, it should be the equation of a circle. R squared equals x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. So let's try this. So we already did this part. We got the distance formula. So let's practice a couple. So let's find the equation of the circle with the center -4, 1, and radius 8. So we have our hk here, and we have our radius. So r squared equals x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. So let's put in the pieces. R is 8, so 8 squared is 64, is equal to x minus our h is -4. So I'm going to write that as minus -4 for now. We'll change that to a positive later, don't worry. plus y minus 1 squared. So if we rewrite that, we have 64 is equal to x plus 4 squared plus y minus 1 squared. There's our equation for our circle. Now, there might be some of you saying, wait, why is there an x and a y there? I thought x and y were negative 4 and 1. That's our center. So what this tells us is any coordinate pair x comma y that satisfies this equation will be on the circle. So let's see if we can kind of place this. Our center is at negative 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, up 1. And we have a radius of 8. So here's our center. We're going to be going pretty far in each direction. So here's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That would be on our circle. We can go up 8. Let's say 9 is like right up here. Okay, and this is going to, I'm not going to draw the whole circle, just a part of it maybe. Okay, so this is kind of part of our circle. It would come all the way down here. We'd have a complete circle. But what this is saying is any point on the outside of this circle, if you knew the coordinates x and y, if you put them here and here, you would have it, and you squared them and added them together, you'd have exactly 64. Let's try it with this point right here. That looks like 4, 1. That point should work. 4 plus 4 is 16. No, 4 plus 4 is 8. Come on. All right, so 4 plus 4 is 8 squared is 64. 1 minus 1 is 0 squared is 0. 64 plus 0 is 64. That works out pretty nicely. Let's try negative 4, 9. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0. 9 minus 1 is 8 squared is 64. Any point on the outside of this circle will work. No other point will. If you try like negative 1, 2, if you plug that in here, it's not going to make it work. Only the xy pairs on the outside of the circle will make that equation work. All right, let's try the next one. So they give us the equation, x squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 72. I'm going to try to find the center and radius of that circle. Let's see if you can do it. Give it a shot. All right, let's give it a shot together now. So it looks like I don't have an h. I could think about this as x minus, 0 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 72. So this means my h is 0. My k, careful here, is negative 3, right? Because I'm adding it. So my center is at 0, negative 3. And then my radius is going to be the square root of 72, right? Because this is r squared. Square root of 72, I can take a perfect square out of there. That's the square root of 9 times 8. I think I can do better, though. 36 times 2. So that is 6 root 2. So we have our radius, we have our center, and that's all we were asked to do. Cool. All right, let's try another one. Okay, this is kind of putting everything together from P2. Let's see if we can do it. The points negative 2, 9 and 4, 1 are the endpoints of the diameter of a circle. Find the equation for the circle. So I say to start by drawing a sketch. So I'm going to help you draw a sketch, and then I'm going to see if you guys can do this one. So let's see here. We're at negative 2, 9. So let's say that's 9. And we're at 4, negative 1. Say it's right there. So these are the endpoints of the diameter of a circle. Let's draw in that circle. Okay, because that's how I know that's what the circle looks like, because those are the endpoints of the diameter. So let's see here. We know the equation of a circle is r squared equals x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. So I need to have the center, hk, and I need to know the radius. Those are the two things that I don't know. So let's see if you guys can find it. Find the center of that circle and the radius, and then put it into that equation for a circle. I'll give it a shot after you get to try it. All right, welcome back. Let's see if we can do this. So the center is going to be halfway across the diameter. Hey, that sounds like a midpoint, right? So I'm going to find the midpoint using these 2 points. Midpoint, remember, is the average of the x's, which is 4 minus, well, negative 2 plus 4, it's right like that, over 2. And then 9 plus negative 1 over 2, which is going to be 2 over 2, that's 1. 9 minus 1 is 8 over 2 is 4. I'd buy that. I'd buy that's 1, 4. Sure. Okay, so we have our center, and then we need our radius. Well, the radius is going to be the distance from the center to the edge. So for the distance, I need, the radius, I need the distance. Let's go from, we could use either point. Let's use this one over here. So from 1, 4 to negative 2, 9. So let's do that. So that is the square root of the difference of the x's, which is 3 squared, plus the difference of the y's, which is 5 squared. 25 plus 9, that is 34. So the radius is the square root of 34. And you might say, well, that's kind of a nasty number. But look at the equation. We're going to square it. So r squared is 34 is equal to x minus h, that's x minus 1 squared, plus y minus k, which is 4 squared. And there is the equation for our circle. And that's all there is to it. Hope this was helpful for you guys. That is the end of P2. I hope that you learned something new, and I will see you in the next video for P3.